Hello YouTubers, I'm the Carbum and this is my Minecraft world. Today I'm going to be doing a overview of things I've done off screen. Because there's a few things that I did off screen that I wanted to record and I don't know why I didn't record. But also some of the things that I do not only off screen but off of game. Um, so the first thing to show is the walls. I apparently did not make a video with the walls, and I even had a Trump meme idea of building the walls, and they're going to be huge in mind um, for the thumbnail. But apparently, I can't do that because there is no thumbnail, or there is no episode with me building this wall, which is kind of weird because I've been recording everything, and I just decided not to record this. Kind of sad. Anyways, you can also see, I don't remember the last, um, I don't know if I've made a video for the town itself either, but here's the town. You know, I have that's the church, that's the main entrance to the castle, and all that other type of stuff. And the wall is basically done, except for a few things. One, I have to do the inside walls, which I'm going to be doing when I make the castle itself, because the castle will dictate a couple of things about the wall, and also through some newer images that I have, I've realized that there's actually little red hats on these two little towers. But overall, these walls are huge. Look at that. Look how big they are. And I have these stupid sheep, and because they spawned in the world, and I had to do something with them because, well, what the heck? Ow. Ow. Pig. Uh. But yeah, these walls are huge. They're fantastic. And there's all this other type of stuff. But this is just the beginning of what I'm going to be showing, because there has also been a few things like growth wise. Like, I've been planting a lot of the trees that are supposed to be in this world, and so on and so forth. And I don't know exactly how much of this stuff I did on camera. Like, Helga's area is just completely engulfed in trees now. And the funny thing is, I don't have to say Helga the witch, because every Helga's a witch. I'm sorry, Helga's in around the world. Yeah, so I have to finish on that. Oh. Yeah. And that hurt. I've also made this little wheat farm here, because I still need more stuff for some of the, because some of the roofs are thatching, so I've been using hay bales for the thatching, because, well, it's basically what thatching is just hay bales. But yeah, that's going to be about everything I'm saying about this part. And now I'm going to be talking about the other parts that I've been doing for this. So, as you can see on this little picture, this is the initial things I have done for this world. I've made a um non-isometric version of the map, which where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Why? Okay, I apparently went the wrong way. I did go the wrong way. Okay, which is basically this one, but turned sideways, or made a turn to, like, I believe the symbols for north. I actually translated most of this stuff, and it's kind of weird how this translates, because that doesn't have anything here or there. Um, but yeah, this is basically how it comes out to look like when it's on straight down type of thing. This took me a little while to go, but this is not the biggest thing I had to deal with. But I've done most of the work that I've done in is either in one of two programs. One of them is good old MS Paint. Yeah, I bet most of you never even open up this anymore. But this is one of the cornerstones of me doing this entire project is MS Paint, because I'm working with blocks, so I can actually measure things properly in here. The other program I am using a lot of is this little free to download thing called GIMP. Don't know why it's called that. Never asked. I am on the GIMP 2.10.36. I have no idea what that means. But yeah, usually when I need to make edits, I can just drop it in, and then on top of that, I have to zoom in all the way, and so this is how I've been editing this stuff, and I've just been using the pencil. But this is the rough draft version 1 that I've been working with. You know, this makes it so you can have a clear view of where everything is. But I realize that this is not going to be enough. So, after dealing with this for a while, I was like, I need more detail. And then I decided to go for this one here. Much, much bigger. This is a double size thing, because that way I can do stuff like where's actually a good spot to look at that. I can do stuff like here. See, actually okay, so this is a good spot for the explanation and everything. Um, red. This shouldn't be red. Oh, it is red. Well, darn. I was going to show this later, but I have an earlier version where all these paths were originally black, but then I was like, you know what? I just want red to be where the transfer points are. In fact, if I did it now, I would probably want these to be in here, but that's completely different. So every 4 little cells right here, this is one block in the world of Landstalker, which means it's also one block in Minecraft. So most of them are keeping it to Minecraft or to the game pretty well. This is one of the few exceptions. mostly because I did not want this to be like right next to this, and it would have been if this was all the way over, because this is one, two, three, four, two, three, four, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what's normal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, this is there's an extra 2 blocks here that goes into here. So orange are things that you can see, but you can't actually walk on. There's a lot of spots where there's more spaces going this way than there are going than there is on different levels. And you can see that there's actually a lot of that all over the place. Why is there only one string right here? The heck? This is the life I chose for myself. that there should never be one line. Did I add this? I would have to look at the actual image, but yeah, pink is also areas where you can't actually walk, but there's reasons for it. Like these are flower beds that you just can't access. And I have 3 colors of green. Regular green, or I guess brighter green, would be the grass. Darker green would be the bushes, and the dark green would be trees. This kind of weird looking green right here is solely for places where there are what you call that, where it's like water underneath it. So this is one of the docks right here, and you can probably guess the rest. Dirt, water, um, and I have lines right here. So if there's a black line, that means that it's at least too high or otherwise inaccessible for you. And then there's also gray, and gray is basically areas where you can transfer from a lower spot to a higher spot. And then there's things like this where it's just like these are mostly just steps. So it's like 1 step, 2 step, 3 steps, you know, to try to abbreviate it, because otherwise it would just be alternating brown and thing. And yeah, this is a darker brown. This is mostly for either inaccessible areas or for ramps and stairways. Purple is for boxes, you know, for chests. I have this big old gray area right here because this is one of the dungeon zones. And there's that. I decided at some point that this area right here and this area right here, even though they are underground, since they are on the overworld map, uh, let me go grab that again. But no, not that one. Since these ones are actually included in the overworld map, see, there's the one right there and the one right there. I figured I might as well. Wait, no, not that. This one right here. I decided to. I might as well just keep those since they are depicted in the overworld map itself. This is where the mine is, but this mine is not what is truly depicted in the game. So I'm going to have to be working with that later on. Yeah. As you can tell, all this area is just area that you are never able to access. Like most of the mountain area, most of the middle of this area, even in the green maze area, there's a lot of stuff that is just inaccessible, which is kind of good for me because that means I have more room to build underneath it. And this actually doesn't even show, um, doesn't even get up to the volcano itself, which is where I'm basically going to have the final, one of the final zones. Particularly because one of the characters is one of the final bosses is this little fire dude, and he's in a place where there's lava and stuff, and I'm just going to have that like at the center of the volcano, so that will be kind of cool because of that. And I've had to do some janky stuff. Um, like let's go back to GIMP and drop in this one. This is the same map that I just showed you, but I used the skew tool to rotate it about 45 degrees, so it's now straight forward. And this also is how I've tried to figure everything out, but this is for my terraforming. Now, as you can tell, they have elevation differences for here and here and here and here. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to actually indicate that on a different thing. Other things that you end up noticing is, um, where would I want that? Oh, not Vertimines. Where is the thieves' place? Sometimes no, no. Tower. No. Here we go. So in this place, oh, you see that there's water right here, and I always thought that was part of the ocean. But if you look at this little mini map, you'll you'll actually see that there is an little inlet area. So technically, this piece right here is more or less a peninsula, maybe an island. Yeah, it's more of a peninsula. And so at the top of that, you would actually be seeing this, and I always thought it was like you were so high up you would actually be seeing the ocean here, but no, that's not the case. You're seeing this here. So just little things that you wouldn't really recognize normally as you were doing as if you were playing the normal game. And and there's actually these two main waterways, and one's going this way, one's going this way. And I'm almost certain that this one actually feeds throughout most of this world. So it'll be interesting to try to make that, or Actually, I think this is one waterway, and there's another waterway here because there's a giant waterfall in this section, and that is most likely feeding into things like, the waterfall shrine that's over here. Um, and actually into the swamps, but the swamps don't have any outlets because that's how swamps work. So it might be like a saltwater swamp. Is that a thing? But yeah, this is just like brackish water here. Brackish? No, I don't think that's the right one. Um, but from the waterfall is where you get the two little rivers at the beginning of the game. So there is some like large world thought put into it, but not perfectly. And this one is kind of the same thing. There's a river that goes to here that goes all the way through the town, and then there is a little stream and waterfall that falls off over here. And it's just like, okay, so I have that to worry about. But because I have this map now, I can actually do stuff because I have been, um, yeah, I've been trying. Uh, these are the original overlays that I had. It doesn't match up really one for one because there's the shrine, but there's the little box right there. And just look at that. A lot of it does match, but some of it doesn't match up 100%. So I can't really like fully rely on that. So I'm probably going to be using the maps compared off of this map, compared off of the main map that I've been using. So as you can see here, it's not 100% on this. There's some big discrepancy. There's a waterfall there. You can see it. Um, but there is a big discrepancy from this point to this point. But like, can I tell why this? Yeah, I can kind of tell. That actually overhangs. So that would be the actual part right there. Because if you can see down here, there's the bottom area, and then there's this area right here, right at the edge. But this little cube goes here because this image is also isometric, so they have overlapping things. And the size from there to there, yeah, it's about 28, which is this is double resolution. So it's not actually 28, it's 14. So 14 blocks that are where this is off. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it changes so much. So that is one of the major projects I'm going to be working on is to do the terrain. And as you can see all the way down here where you get your little magic sword at, it's basically completely surrounded by a mountain. So he is really isolated. This is the little starter town or this is the town that we started at. And this has a lot of pink because there's just a lot of flowers here that you can't actually walk on. Kind of rude. I like walking on flowers. Um, there were a few annoying parts, like up here, when you look on the, when you look in the game itself, it looks like this is right next to this. Because this is a couple of lower, so it actually looks closer than it really is. So I had to go into game and actually figure out what was going wrong here because I had the right dimensions and it things were just not adding up. And I'm basically going to be doing this type of stuff for the dungeons as well, which is not going to be fun. But if I don't do this type of mapping, well, this type of mapping in the dungeons, it's going to be horrific because so far I've done the dungeon that's right here, and I've already started mapping or deconstructing and mapping out. Like, these are things that I've been doing that's beyond what is on the where the videos that are being released are actually connected to, because this stuff I've done months ago. But the stuff I'm doing on currently is I have been dissecting every zone. So the first roads I've dissected, which is kind of easy, or which was not too difficult because even though there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, it's from here to here to here. This would be the first road zone. But if you look closely enough, you can see that they cheated. Because all these three are the same, these two are the same, these two are the same. So you actually don't have to say every last one of them. Yeah, this one's funny because there's a little drop down right here, and they put one of the stupid uh mushrooms right here, which are so small that you can't even see it. So they like troll you there. Hilarious. Um, but yeah, this is how the entire map looks. One, which how the map looks. The one thing that is kind of cool is that once I am done with all of this right here, right now I'm on the Green Maze zone, and then I'll be working my way to the mountainous area, and then working my way up to here. But once I get all the way up to here, it's kind of cool because I have like an actual measurement on how far away this spot is right here. Which means which means even though I can't tell for certain how far away this is from here, well, I guess I could have just put a marker and all the way up. I would rather start from this side because this is a lake right here, so this should all be flat. And from there, I can actually start building this down and backwards, and by the time I get to here, I'll have a completely different elevation than over here. Well, I might have one. I tried to make a map where it actually tells me the exact elevations that everything is at, but I kind of abandoned that one because just it just wasn't working out. So it was basically just this, and I would put numbers next to it, and it's just like, nah, that's not working. Because as you might remember, is like right here, this is at sea elevation, but then you jump up like 10 blocks just to get up to this spot, and then this is sea elevation, and so I had to actually subtract a couple of blocks from this transition to this transition to this transition until I got back to sea level again. So I just figured it would be easier to go all the way up here because this is very high up at these altitudes. Not high enough where not high enough where worrying about the build limit. Now I shouldn't be having to worry about the build limit at all, but it's still like 40, 50, 60, 70 blocks up at this point, which means that this over here would also be about 70 blocks, and that would just make things easier. I don't know if I want to make the if I want to have the full terraformed map done by this point. Um, like I showed it, things are not exactly one-to-one. Like this is not even in the map anymore at this height. And the shrine is like much bigger on this one than it is actually. So the big so the overview picture that I'm given is actually gives bigger items than over here. The yeah. Um but yeah, this is the things I've been doing in the background, which most of you, if you're following this at all, are probably going to go, "You're insane." Which I cannot entirely disagree with. It's also kind of annoying because these are not just like full on pixels, they have like this little round bumpy thing. So it's kind of hard to tell exactly where one elevation is compared to another one. Like you can kind of see it, but then your brain, but when you try to actually fill it in, your brain kind of glitches, and you're like, wait, was that lower or higher? Like right here, it looks like there's this lower elevation. This might be a transition right here, and then this one, these are much higher. It you can't really tell. It's not always like cut and dry. Like for some reason, this little dot right here is darker than these dots, and I don't know why that is. And then there's other spots like right here where it's just like, oh yeah, there's 4 little blocks right there. That's it's easy. So yeah. Um. But yeah, I kind of to some extent know the map much better than anybody else on the planet at this point. And I hope you liked seeing behind the curtain of all the stuff I do behind the scenes um, to make this project even possible. Like I said, currently I am um, trying to do all the dungeons along with trying to keep up with making newer videos because the newer videos, because I still have like 5 or 10. So that's like a month and a half worth. So I do need to start recording again if I want to keep this up long term. But the things I've been doing is like I'm starting to deconstruct the dungeons. And when I mean I'm starting to deconstruct, I have stuff like right here is the Leisure King Knoll, Castle of Mechator, Dungeon and Tower, and then I have this, so I am able to fully put it together one piece at a time. I've even gone in game and uses the game's built-in capture ability to repair some of these things, like this one right here, this one right here. This entire corner was missing, so I had to go in game, use a capture, and then replace that entire corner. There's some spots where I screwed up because I want these all to be like just empty things. I tried to do it for her to get rid of her, but I ended up taking a couple of pictures where I'm right here and I'm right here, and my foot was actually where her foot was. So since I'm trying to get rid of all the characters, also I didn't notice that these little fires actually flickered. There's a small animation on the fires, so I have to like cut those out too when I'm putting it in. Otherwise, it just looks weird. But yeah, so that's more or less what I've been doing with this. I would have to go back in the game and take some more screen captures, and I have to do it at the smallest one too. And since this is an older game, it's a 16-bit game for goodness sakes. Like it's tiny, so the actual screen is like, oh my goodness, it won't even allow me to go smaller than this. Yeah, it's smaller than this, and you have your like health bar up here, so you kind of have to erase that too. But yeah, ah, ah. Why is it that far? I don't get it. And and a lot of these maps were kind of like tutorial maps, so they include what's inside these. So I don't entirely like those. Like, I could just get rid of that one because it's outside, but that's inside, so I'll have to go in game and uh, screenshot this spot right here. I can't use the annoying part is I can't use like another screenshot because these are very, very sharp little pixels that they have here. This is actually blurry. So if I take a screenshot of this right here, it kind of like um smooths out, and I don't know why it does that. It's just really weird. But yeah, I could get rid of this one easily enough, but this one I would have to go back in, and I think I'm going to be making like an entirely different set of me just like maybe later. Maybe after I'm somewhat done with this project and I just want to just clean up these things. But yeah, that's more or less the side project I'm doing on these. It's just slowly deconstructing the dungeons and removing all the unnecessary sprites and possibly filling in the spots that are damaged or that got damaged in the process of making these. Yeah, well, I want to have the candles. We have candles in Minecraft, but they are also physical in Minecraft, and you don't touch these in the game. So I don't know how to work around that. And that's it for the Dungeon and Tower Zone. This is where they've been keeping the princess since before the game even starts. It's just like, my prince, my prince. So stupid. But yeah, that's been the major project. Is just deconstructing these. I'm currently on this one. That's not even all of it. That is labyrinth. That would be this one right here. So I kind of got all that done, but this one's I kind of lost track of where I was. So thankfully, GIMP actually holds like alterations to the images by itself without affecting the original one. But like I said, there's a volcano and this is basically the volcano. So I most likely is going. I'm going to situate the labyrinth based off of this location right here, which is kind of good because it's the bottom corner, and I'm pretty sure that will make it everything else just completely out of the way and unessential to make any alterations or to allow me to just freely place this all around. But this is a big area, and I have to connect things like these connect up to here, like yeah, and these little marker 2 markers as well I'm trying to get rid of, which is kind of hard when the markers are like literally right here. Like, okay, it's right on top of it, so I would have to come here and take a little screenshot to erase this thing and take a screenshot to erase that. That one I think just barely doesn't touch anything. Yeah, there's like just barely nothing in there, which means I probably already got rid of that one. And and of course, these are just showing where the paths are. And I appreciate this person for making this thing because now I have all the image resources. But sometimes their lines are just really confusing. Um, like this one right here, these are not aligned. Why didn't he move that over a little bit? That doesn't make any sense. Um, but yeah. So yeah, yeah, yeah. I also love these reference images because they show little things too, like this little bowling ball guy that is probably one of the hardest bosses in the entire game if you don't know any tricks against him. Like, look at him. He looks so goofy, but he is the most terrifying thing in this game if you don't know a particular strategy to get rid of him. And so that's crazy. This fire guy, this one's kind of funny because you can just stand in these things. The bubbles, he throws like lava bubbles at you. Uh, but if you stand right here, he actually aims at the top part of your body, not the lower part, to make it so you can't just jump over them when you're standing here, I'm guessing. But then, because of that, if you have the fireproof boots on, you could just stand right here and he literally can't hit you. If you just stand right in the corner, he just can't hit you. Most people never figure that out. Because they're just like, oh my goodness, he's throwing fire everywhere. Ah, 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 ah. Um, yeah, so I'll be getting to this probably later on this week to finish this up. Uh, I'm going to have to like use the ones that I've already done as reference and start deleting everything because I've lost track of which things I have and have not done. I know I haven't gone down here, but there's like parts in this section right here that I don't know if I've done it or not, and I don't want to be constantly looking and trying to like, okay, did I do this one? I did. And for the most part, for larger dungeons like this, I'm basically just saying, I'm basically trying to put into grid parts and like this one you would think would be A1, but I decided to have this to be like A2 because this area right here connects to here. So this part's actually would be the one. And thankfully after that, we have like stuff right here where this falls down to where this guy is. So I actually don't have to worry about that. Or this would be the farthest away from the edge, so having that as one, it kind of works. But it does get kind of messy because we have things like this one goes up into here, then this piece goes all the way up to, I think, like here, but this goes up to here, so it's not exactly one-to-one on what's on top of what. So uh, I need to move things around for that. One of the ones that I've gone done, like you've already saw this one. This is the cave that I already made by the starting town. But this is the swamp shrine right here. And the swamp shrine is kind of annoying because we have this, which is actually connected to here, but I can't do that and keep things orderly because this actually connects to up here, but this connects basically straight down to like here. And there's this little spot right here that I need to connect straight up to here because this is a straight drop all the way down. So the things don't actually line up for all of it. So I've had to make it so this gets moved all the way over here. This stuff moves over here. This thing gets moved all the way over here to connect up to here. So this can go all and this goes all the way up into here to get that, while this is connected to, I believe, I think it might actually be connected to this. Where does this one go? Yeah, I like I said, I removed all the markers, at least all the ones I could, because there's also this one. Like this one right here, this connects to this door right here. That is a long walk because this is like you stepped out there and then you go into there. So there, so but I can't have this be right here and have this be right here while also having this here because how all these things connect and what they connect to, like, how can I connect those? I don't know. I did have my reasons. Well, actually, yeah, this or oh yeah, this connect. There's this right here, which is right here, and so that has to go all the way to here, and this part right here is actually I think that one is going in from right here. Yeah. So I've basically been layering all of these right on top of each other and then having to adjust them as is. I might make it so everything that connects to each other is connected in the columns instead of on the layers to and that way I can move them more freely without messing to without messing that up. I'm not certain if I want to do it like that though. So that's the plan. And this is obviously going to have to be a lot bigger because this is the spot where you fall down to walk out and you just go over here, over here, over here. But there's the front door and that means the other spot to come out it would have to be right here. So I'll have to extend this all the way down and down. Yeah. Okay, I think I've already said this before, but I hope you enjoyed seeing the the inner workings of the that gets done in the background of making this. Let's just close that. Yeah, discard changes. I don't think I actually changed anything, but nah, I don't want to change anything there. Um, close that out. Close that. Um, close that. But yeah, at at the point of where most of the videos are, this is where I'm at with construction. That all that stuff is like several months in the future, more or less. But this is where this is all the work I've done up to this point in the time stream. Just making this stuff. This part's kind of annoying because this stuff kind of connects. That connects. This one I made it so this is like the bridge area here, and since it's not directly connected with those two, I decided to have it go all the way up there, and this part would go all the way to there, that part there, and that connects pretty good. So the mountain in this area is also kind of annoying. This has a direct route to connect to there, so just trying to get some of these to line up correctly is kind of irritating. Um, but yeah, that's it. This is where I'm at on this world, and I hope you enjoyed this for the third time, I guess. Uh, that's what happens when you do YouTube without a script. You start mumbling and ranting and stuff. But it's the way that I like to do this because it's a little bit more real. It's less rehearsed. It might sound a little bit more jumbled, but it's definitely more. Um, don't know what the word would be. Okay. I am the car bum. Now get out of my world.